imagine it four times your income. It's eligibility. You're eligible for it. A lot of those benefits, a lot of people aren't told. And we've seen her cry. We've seen her break down a bit. We've seen her feel sorry. Sorry, get a bit emotional here. Feel sorry for. Is it yourself, or you got some assistance standing there? Don't be shy to ask. Don't be shy to check. And if one person doesn't know, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's about your words. Cut. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of things in the early days that we could have had more access to finances or reduced costs of living, you know. So all the pennies are hundreds and even thousands of dollars that could have been received or discounted for on our behalf using the system. So if you're on the system, there is you know, a lot more I think you can and it's eligibility. You're eligible for it. A lot of those benefits, a lot of people aren't told. So what I'm trying to say is the principle here is super important about asking. You know, don't be shy to ask. Don't be shy to check. And if one person doesn't know, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So you need to keep asking, keep on checking. Kind of assume that there's a discount here, a benefit here and there. And if people laugh at it, who cares? They're like, nah, man, you know, whatever. All right. But yeah, it's massive. I'll give you another example. Again, I don't know the details when it comes to Zion stuff, because that's what Tanya's done since day dot. I've just been the, you know, the side man here with everything, supporting and just being there. But basically, let's say Zion's access to what would you call it, Tan? His NDIS funding, right? So his NDIS funding. Originally, you know, there's a bit of private stuff, but it's not. It's more a case of the financial benefit that he was able to receive. So we went from like I'll just say I'll speak general. So a smaller amount of finance benefit for Zion, for his NDIS funding, sorry, to what, more than triple to quadruple. Yeah, so 4 times the amount of funding. Is it yourself, or you got some assistance standing there?
Yeah, I got some help.
So we got some help as well. And basically it's about the better you write your funding application letters. Okay, so video cut out because no storage available. Eventually, once we reapplied at this other stage, it's not it. So the last thing I was talking about is the application for funding if you've got a child with special needs or someone in your family with disabilities of some sort that's under the NDIS system. But I'm sure it'll apply to any other similar type of disability support system, right? Basically, the level of funding is predicated on your application. So, which means that if you have an average application, it's not just a case of simple tick boxes, it's actually a letter. You're applying, and it's about your words, okay? The words in the letter. Whether it's a formal application that you submit it through, you still have to have a really kick-ass letter. And so getting help in this area may help you get, like we did, up to 4 times more the funding. And one of the last things that I said in that I remember saying that got cut out in the video is that imagine your income. Imagine your income, guys. Like you've got your income, right? We're not talking about rich people here. If you got good income, then awesome. But let's just say you've got decent income, right? But imagine it 4 times. 4 times your income. That's a lot of money. Now, in saying that, I have to also let you know that, just for those who don't understand the way these NDIS funding works, it's not free money to us. It's not money to me and Tanya and to our kids. It's money for Zion because of his disabilities. And it's very limited in terms of its use. You can't just go and use it on purchasing anything that you want. It's very limited, and it's just for Zion's services. So his support care workers, equipment they may need, you know, if you need speech therapy and help from whatever services, right? Any of these details, right? Before I forget, if any of you guys have you know, need help in this area, feel free to reach out to either myself or Tanya in this video, and in any of the videos as well. If you have any areas that you'd like to, I guess, get some help with, or yeah, so Tanya's willing to help you there. She said it herself. And so yeah, just drop a comment if you have any questions, and I'll get Tanya to jump on and reach back out to you and see what we can do to guide you. But yeah, so there's a lot of funding if you've got the right words. Back in the days when we had carers before the NDIS system, right? So the amount of funding that we had was shit all. And it's not to complain, but it kind of bolts onto the discussion that I just mentioned, the topic I just mentioned about how you can just have four times the amount of funding. And we're talking about, like, let's say if you're only getting 25,000 here, you get 100,000. Like, makes a massive difference. If you're on 50,000, you can probably get up to 200,000. I'm not saying it's limited to 4 times, it's probably even more. Maybe less, right? And that's, again, it's determined by a whole bunch of things, but one of them is your words in the letter. But what I wanted to mention now is that, you know, kind of a story, but like back in the days when we had, we only had up to about 3 hours respite per week. Hours per week. It was very tough on us back then, and we didn't have much support as well. And anyone taking Zyme, especially Tanya, not so much me, because I'll be working, but for Tanya to have a bit of a rest and time off, not just away from Zion, because we love Zion, but to have a bit of time, rest, time for each other, sleep. That was the main one. But we only had 3 hours a week. And so what we used to use that 3 hours, we were very, I guess, narrow thoughts and what we could use it for. We just used it for going out to have dinner, which you usually made at home on time. But the one that we really tried to make a bit more special was go watch a movie. You know, back in the days when people watched the movies, the cinemas, not at home. So we would go to a cinema, but we'll be rushing back, leaving the movie early, probably about half an hour before the movie even finishes, because the movie wouldn't start right on time for us to get there when our carer was going to get there. It just, we had to try and time it. Sometimes we chose movies that we didn't really want to watch because the other movies that we wanted to were starting too late. We're stuck with time, very limited. But so we would be leaving most of our movies unfinished, and yeah, we'd have to head back to meet the carer to, you know, he'll give Zion back. So that was little kind of special moments for me and Tanya to remember, because, you know, the funding, this is going back onto the funding and why it's important that you get help with your funding, your application. You can reapply and adjust the level of funding, right? Just through improving the letter. Okay, so if we can help you with that, me and Tanya, then I would love to, because if it means the difference between you and your partner, especially you and your partner, you know, we're really about, especially me here with this channel, I'm really about keeping families together. And I'm not here to trigger certain people who aren't together with their partners. A separate thing, right? But I'm really for family, right? When you come from a broken family, that's, for me, it's become a passion. Even at moments where things aren't, you know, don't feel awesome, you know, between you and a partner, you know, it's not the end of the world. Anyways, that's a different story. Here to talk about special needs, disabilities and stuff, but everything's connected. That's why I go on tangents. Because ultimately every topic I'm going to be talking about, everyone talks about, somehow they're all connected together anyways. Where you spend your time, where you spend your money, what are you doing with yourself, you know, traumas, problems, limitations, programming, your education, your support networks, you know, everything's connected some way. So yeah, but it's a big passion for me and Tanya to be helping people who have you know, similar type of challenges, and if we can be a beacon of light for you, even just encourage you to just check what you're available, what's available to you, then by all means, if you double, triple, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, whatever the benefit and support that you currently have, then congrats and awesome. It'll make you happy. So yeah, hopefully this helps you. Just the thought on the writing those letters, so you can write it yourself if you're good with words, but one recommendation that I would advice I would give you here is that a lot of people aren't used to, or you know, people say not to cry about your problems or mention. I've watched actually a few videos about people talking about not to overshare, you know, your problems. Now, yes, that's probably true, but one advice here is kind of counter to that in a roundabout way. It's not about sharing it to the world, but actually when you're writing the letters for, you know, these are legal letters, right? And the point is, if you don't have a great story to tell, they don't feel it. I don't know if whoever's reading it has a heart, but really, if you don't have a good story, they're just going to look at it as, oh, you don't need much help, you're okay. So what I'm trying to say is, in your application, you can't act like everything's all good. Just because you actually are a strong person, that can go against you in terms of the amount of funding. All right, so the way it works is, the more vulnerable you are, the more broken things seem, the better off you're going to be in terms of your application strength, the strength of your application. So if you say, if you're in your application, you're kind of saying, yeah, but I'm doing good and everything's okay, and you know, don't worry, you know, we're doing amazing. The system is basically going to say, oh, you're doing amazing. Okay, here's $5. You know? But, and it's not to lie, okay? We don't encourage lying here about your circumstances, but sometimes it's easier to hear the details from someone who knows your problems, like the challenges, and saying, you know, like I think for us as like teachers or doctors or whatever, I don't know about doctors, but you know, just people who can explain the actual detail of the detriment that it has, that having a person with the challenges that the person that you're talking about here, you know, it has on your life, you know, lack of sleep, you know, you have less time for yourself, you're just a mental stress, you know, feeling isolated and lonely. I think especially for a lot of women who, you know, deal with this by themselves. Even males, even men, you know, like I'm okay with being alone, and it's not a big problem for me. I don't feel depressed. I'm happy with self. I'm happy with who I have in my life, and so that's not an issue for me. But for a lot of people, it's important. And anyways, it's really about writing. To write that letter, you got to really say all the details. I'm pretty good at breaking that down between me and Tanya. You know, all the actual challenges that we go through. So it's, if you don't have that kind of person in your network, or the person, you know, you or your partner, it's going to be challenging to write that letter. So sometimes it's just good to have other people help you write that letter, because they'll probably ask you things that you probably wouldn't ask yourself, just because. And one reason a lot of people just they don't want to, you know, want people to feel sorry for themselves, you know. So if you don't want people to feel sorry for you, then more than likely you're not going to mention all the things that actually is true, by not being able to articulate all the details, the nuances of your life, and how impactful they all are to you and your family. You know, like, even probably actually one thing that just came to mind now, instead of thinking of it for self, maybe think about it in terms of, like, for me, if I was to write the letter, I'd say all the problems that, all the challenges that it has on my wife, all the challenges that it has on Manea, all the challenges that Cuba has to go through, all the challenges that Havana has to go through, and Kiana has to go through, all the things that they miss out on, all the things that they're limited with, all the way that they see it. Even that is massive. It will be a big shift for you. Even asking your kids, your other kids, or the people in your family, ask them what it does to them. And I bet you, and be genuine, just like a proper sit down and talk to them. Ask them, what do you really feel about, like, you know, the challenges of your brother? In our case, it's Zion is the older brother to his siblings, right? And so if I was to ask Monet, I know we've actually had this type of chat. We've had it many times throughout Monet's life. And we've seen her cry. We've seen her break down a bit. We've seen her feel sorry. Sorry, get a bit emotional here. Feel sorry for. It's funny because, you know, I remember once, not the detail, but I remember once she's talking about feeling sorry for her brother, and in the same process, she's like, she didn't say it, but because she didn't want to say it, that she actually feels sorry for herself. And yeah, she understood the situation, but she knew that what she was saying, if she was saying she feels sorry for herself, it was kind of, she felt guilty as well, saying it like she didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve to feel sorry for herself, you know. So anyways, these are tough things to kind of discuss here as well, but this is why I'm doing this as well. It's genuine. It's you know, these are the super important things for a whole bunch of people and families, is the stuff that, you know, that a lot of people don't understand. Is a lot of the stuff that, you know, people don't actually have to deal with. And for those who are especially alone, who are watching this and subscribing to this channel and keeping up with the content, I really do hope that at least this information, if not other videos as well, is going to help you on your journey and through the challenges that you're going through. Yeah, if we can just, even for those who aren't dealing with this, if this also helps with awareness for, I'd say, mainly family members of people who have these challenges. One of the things that we kind of dealt with is that me and Tanya have always been kind of alone as well in dealing with these challenges. And yeah, it was very tough. Very tough. We just went through it. We thought a lot of things were normal. We thought we just got to be toughen up. We felt like it was just our problem. We didn't blame anyone. We just thought it would be, you know, over time we just thought, wow, it'd just be nice if people were a bit more there, you know. And it's not a hit on the people who are in our lives, because all people in our life have been amazing people. You guys are amazing. All the old school friends and family. I say old school friends because I don't have many friends today, these days. Not that it matters too much, but all the friends who have been there for us and with us. It's not that, you know, we wish everyone could have done more. It's more a case of, for people going forward, if you are a person in someone's life that has these challenges, just try to figure out ways to give them support. The number one support I'd say would be really, really useful is for respite, which is basically asking them if they want to have a break. And I'm not talking about the couple hours here and there, although they'll be grateful for those. I'm talking about the longer breaks, like you're going to go for a weekend away. Are you able to afford it? Is there a way that we can help out with that? And get a bunch of friends and family to help finance that, $50 each, whatever it is, right? We don't really need that now because we have, I guess, ample funding for Zion. It's never usually enough. You can do more. But when you start with shit all, it's just like growing up poor and then you have more than you've ever had before. Like, you're used to having shit all anyways, not much. So, you know, we've had little to nothing, and to get the amount of funding that we have now is massive. So it makes a massive difference. But if you can be extra supportive and helpful to those families and of yours that need help, just have a chat to them. They'll probably let you know what you can. But yeah, longer term going away holidays, they're probably the big ones. If it's a week, because in these situations, you don't usually get 2-week holidays, 4-week holidays. You don't usually get that shit. And these are lifelong disabilities. Okay, one more thing I wanted to mention was about, I know some people will think, I know our Polynesian people will be like this. I can imagine it, right? I can imagine them saying something like, oh, it's enough, it's good, but, just being content with what they're given. This here, what I'm trying to say is, don't feel bad. Don't think that it's about being grateful and ungrateful. Okay, it's not about, being ungrateful because you're trying to get a maximum. It's not asking for more than you're not eligible for. If other people are eligible for a certain amount too, then you are too. It's about getting what you deserve at the maximum benefit. So don't feel guilty, don't feel bad for applying for potentially way more funding. Okay, it may sound like stupid amount of funding because you're so used to not enough. The kids are coming in. Okay, yeah, anyways, the point made. See ya. Don't be shy to ask, don't be shy to check, and if one person doesn't know, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Imagine it 4 times your income.